Welcome to Serendipity. Today we're celebrating Diwali, the Hindu Festival of Light. I'm going to start with a song called Today is Diwali. Now this year Diwali begins on Saturday, November 14th and runs through Wednesday, November 18th. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. The diyas light, the rooftops, fences, windowsills. We dress up fine to welcome the new year. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. Fireworks, fireworks, I can see the fireworks. Fireworks, fireworks, shooting way up high. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. We meet our friends and offer them some fruit and nuts. The cards we sing wish all a happy year. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. Today is Diwali, the festival of light. All right. We are going to look at a book now that tells us a lot about the different traditions of Diwali. There's so many wonderful things that happen. This book is called Celebrating Holidays, Diwalis. I have been very fortunate in recent years to be friends with a family that celebrated Diwali and to go to their home and to see all the wonderful food, for instance. They have tables full of food that the hostess had prepared mostly all by herself. It was very impressive and very delicious. So I want to share this book. It'll give us some ideas of what people do during Diwali. Fireworks explode in the night sky. Children wave sparklers in the streets below. India is bright with light and color. It is Diwali. And this picture is Mumbai. Diwali is the biggest holiday in India. It is often called the Festival of Lights. For the celebration, people light rows of clay lamps called diyas. Diwali is a Hindu holiday. However, it has spread to other faiths as well. Around the world, people celebrate the power of good over evil during Diwali. You see these little diyas? These are the little lamps. She's lighting 2 more lamps over there. Diwali started as a harvest festival in India. Farmers gave thanks for their crops. They wanted the Hindu goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, to bless them. Now, this is a statue of Lakshmi, and this is the whole world. And this arrow is pointing to India. Now, if you look at that green space, it looks like India is a small country. It isn't. It just looks small with the whole map of the world. India is a large country. Today, people also remember other gods and goddesses during Diwali. Many tell the story of Rama. He saved his wife and kingdom from a demon called Ravana. Here's Ravana. We're going to have this story in a little bit. Ravana had 10 heads and 20 arms, and he was a demon. And this is Krishna, another god. Diwali lasts for 5 days in October or November. The dates change with the Hindu calendar. They depend upon the position of the moon. And this is a picture of the Taj Mahal, which is a very famous, beautiful building. And it's located in Agra, India. And this is a picture of children who are filling in a mandala on the floor in their home, and it looks to me like they're filling in the spaces with flower petals. People often use different colors of rice or even different colors of sand to fill in the parts of the mandala. They're beautiful. People clean their homes for Diwali. They open their windows and doors to welcome Lakshmi. They light lamps to keep evil away. Look at all these lamps they're lighting. People decorate floors and pavement with Rangoli art. These beautiful designs are often made of colored sand. People also hang flower garlands in doorways. Now you see here, this is the Rangala art, and these children have filled in the petals and the spaces on the design. It looks like they filled them in with colored rice or colored sand. This is an example of a Rangala lotus that you could make at home. For many people, puja or worship is a tradition. Families also gather to share sweet treats and gifts. Some gatherings have dancing. Diwali is a joyful celebration. And that are some of the ways that Diwali is celebrated all over the world. The next story I have for you, I was so delighted when I found it because it takes place in Nepal. Nepal is a small country that's on the northeastern border of India, just above that green country you saw on that map. And the Himalaya mountains are all through that area. Now, my next door neighbors here in Summit are from Nepal. And they have two sons that remind me of the two brothers in this story. And you'll see why I enjoyed it. Now, Diwali is called Deepavali, in Nepal. So that it's the same holiday, the Festival of Light. It's just has a different sort of name. All right. Alu and Balu were brothers who knew that the whole beautiful city of Kathmandu was ready to celebrate the courageous dogs. Now, why were they celebrating dogs on Diwali? The reason is there had been a terrible earthquake in Nepal, and there were people who were still trapped under piles of bricks. Dogs came and sniffed out the people and knew where they were and let the helpers dig them out and save their lives. So the people in Nepal were very, very grateful to the dogs. And this Diwali, they were celebrating them. Now, many months later, Balu and Alu roamed through the ruins of ancient temples, looking for a stray dog, a kukur, that's the word for dog, to honor with food and gratitude. Now you see the monkeys? There are lots of monkeys in Nepal, and Kathmandu is the capital city where these children live. So they really want to find a dog that they can give treats to and honor on this special day, but they haven't had any luck finding one so far. On other festival days, people would feed crows or ravens, decorate cars and cows, or give gifts to brothers and sisters. But today was the time to honor every kukur or dog. Alu and Balu searched and searched, but they could not find even one dog to feed. They were feeling very disappointed. Many other children were already feeding treats to all sorts of dogs, while Balu and Alu wandered among twirling kites, spinning Ferris wheels, and towering bamboo swings. They were called pings, ridden by boys and girls who shrieked as they soared, flying so high. Now, Alu and Balu could have done that too, but they really wanted to find a dog to treat. By nighttime, the sky sparkled with fireworks, and families chased away the darkness by lighting lanterns on doorsteps, rooftops, and windowsills. But Alu and Balu still had not found a hungry kukur. So they searched one more time because they remembered how the rescue dogs kept searching for their people. At home, the boy's mother prepared a feast flavored with red, yellow, and orange spices. The boy's father wondered where his young sons might be, but Dolly, the clever little sister of two mischievous brothers, smiled because secretly she knew what they must be doing. Finally, on a dark corner, without any lanterns or fireworks, Balu and Alu found a puppy, wandering, homeless, motherless, lonely. The dog's soft fur was black, so the boys decided to call her Heiku. Alu and Balu took turns carrying poor Heiku to their house, at last arriving, trying not to scatter the rice flour arranged in dazzling patterns on the living room floor. See these beautiful designs that they had made on the floor. The boys are being careful not to damage them. The boys knew their parents must be worried because they'd been gone so long, but they needed more treats for Heiku. So they snuck into the kitchen, and Alu quietly grabbed a plate of dumplings, and Balu silently snatched a dish of sweets, and then the naughty brothers tiptoed all the way up to the lantern-lit roof. Look at the dog going up the steps. Just then a crowd of grown-ups charged up the stairs. Parents, grannies, aunties, and uncles. They're all wondering why they could hear barks, yips, yaps, and giggles. And when they came up to the rooftop, they saw what was going on. Soon, everyone was sitting in a circle beneath dazzling fireworks, brilliant stars, and a glowing moon, while Dolly painted a red tika on Heiku's forehead. And Alu and Balu draped garlands of orange flowers around the puppy's neck. So she's celebrating Diwali also. Everyone agreed that on the festival's special brother-sister gift-giving day, all three children should generously give one another one lonely puppy who needed a home. So Mom and Dad said they could keep Heiku. All the grown-ups smiled as they bowed their heads to give thanks. Namaste. And that is the story of a dog named Heiku. The author is Margarita Engel with Amish Karanjit and Nicole Karanjit, illustrated by Ruth Giavaran. I really loved that book. It reminded me so much of the dogs we've had through the years and we love so much. Now, the last book is very long, so I'm not going to read you the whole book because it would probably take an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the story, and this is a story that I love. It's a very famous, exciting story. The story of Diwali, the story of Rama and Sita.
Now I will show you just a little bit of the pictures to give you an idea. These pictures were based on shadow puppets that are used sometimes to tell the story of Rama and Sita. And you can see the shadow puppets. You'd be seeing these through a sheet with a light behind it. You can see the shadow puppets are very unusual and very dramatic. Here's another example. So I'm going to tell the story now, but I would encourage you sometimes to consider checking out this book. It's titled Rama and Sita, a tale from ancient Java, retold and illustrated by David Weitzman. Not only are the pictures extraordinary, but the text is beautiful. Long, long ago, there was a king whose name was Dasarata. He had 3 grown fine sons. Their names were Rama, Lesmana, and Bharata. Now Rama, that fine prince, the oldest, was married to a beautiful princess named Sita. Now when the king was growing very old, he knew that it was extremely important for him to choose and to announce which of his sons would become king when he was gone. He talked with his counselors and consulted many people, and everyone agreed that his oldest son, Rama, should be the next king. Everyone also agreed that all 3 sons were like their father. They were fine men. They were honest and generous. They were bright and strong. And so he couldn't go wrong by choosing any of them, but Rama was the oldest. And so it was announced, and everyone was so happy. Everyone except one. And this was Rama's stepmother. The youngest of the 3 sons, Bharata, was her son. And she said to herself, "Why should Rama be king? My son Bharata is just as fine as he is. My husband, the king, owes me 2 wishes." And so she went to the king, her husband, and she said, "Husband, do you remember when you were wounded in battle? And I stayed with you and took care of you and nursed you back to health and saved your life." "Yes, dear wife," he said, "I remember. Thank you." And she said, "And you promised that you would grant me 2 wishes. Do you remember that?" "Yes, dear wife, I remember. And anything I promised, I will grant. What is it that you wish?" And she said, "My 2 wishes are that our son Bharata become king instead of Rama, and that you should banish Rama from the kingdom for 14 years. "No, no, my wife," said the king. "No, I have already told Rama and all the people that he would be the king. I cannot do this." "If you do not keep your promises to me, you will suffer," she said. "You will be considered to be a liar. You must keep your promises to me." And she pressured him so that at last he gave in. He called Rama to him and explained what had happened. Rama was such a fine son. He listened to his father respectfully and accepted his decision. He became ready to leave the kingdom. And of course Sita, his wife, said, "I must go with you. You are my husband. I must go with you too." And his second brother, Lesmana, said, "I have never been separated from you in my life. I must go with you and Sita." And Rama said they could go. Now the youngest son, Bharata, loved them also. He was very ashamed of what his mother had done. He went to Rama and said, "No, Rama, you must be king, not I." But Rama said, "You cannot come with us. We must obey our father's commands. You will be a fine king. Stay here and command the kingdom and do as our father has said." And so he had to stay there as the 3 others left. Now they traveled on until they came to a great forest, and that is where the three, Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana, decided they would make their camp. They slept on moss-covered soft beds, and there were bubbling streams and clear, clean water there, beautiful trees and plants, and it was a good place to live, although they missed the kingdom. Now they knew that they must keep Sita safe. She was such a beautiful princess. They were afraid that some evil demon might try to steal her away. So Rama made a circle with his magic knife, and a large circle. And he told Sita, as long as you stay inside this circle, if I'm away hunting, you will be safe. Just do not leave the circle. If you stay in the circle, you will be safe. And so what they did not know was that sure enough, an evil demon, a very evil demon, whose name was Ravana, wanted Sita for himself. Ravana had 10 heads and 20 arms. He began to think there must be some way I can get Sita out of the magic circle so that I can take her away. And he started to think. Soon, he came up with a fake voice that sounded just like Rama. And that voice was saying, Lakshmana, Lakshmana, I am hurt. Come to help me. No, Lakshmana, I think it's a trick, said Sita. I don't think it's really Rama calling you. I must go, said Lakshmana. Don't you hear my brother's voice? He's calling me to come and help him. I must go. They did not know that it was a trick played by Ravana, the evil one. And so Lakshmana ran away to find his brother. And Sita was there in the circle by herself. Then the evil Ravana turned himself into a wizened old man. In other words, a very elderly gentleman. And he came near the circle and said to Sita, I am so thirsty. Could you get me a drink of water? Of course I will, she said. And she stepped out of the circle. And the old man turned into himself, Ravana, with the 10 heads and the 20 arms. He wrapped those arms around Sita, and away they flew through the sky. Now, as they were flying, the king of the birds, whose name was Jatayu, saw them. I must help Sita, thought Jatayu. And Jatayu, who had huge eagle-like wings, flew after Ravana and fought with them, trying to get Sita free. But Ravana beat Jatayu, who fell to the ground. Barely breathing, he tried to stay alive so that he could tell Rama what had happened to Sita. Rama came by searching for his wife with his brother Lakshmana and came upon Jatayu, the bird. And the bird said, your wife, Sita, has been taken by Ravana. And so then they knew they must find Ravana. They needed help. Ravana had taken her to his kingdom, and keeping her there, the brothers knew they had to have help. They called upon the help of Hanuman, the monkey king, with millions of his monkey warriors. And Hanuman came with all of his warriors, fighting against Ravana to free Sita. Now Ravana knew that he was winning the battle with millions of monkeys and the monkey king, so he did the only thing he could do. He called upon the mighty giant Kumbhakarna, who came running with his huge footsteps. Each step was like an earthquake. He came closer and closer, but Lakshmana shot him with an arrow that was made of a lightning bolt. And that was the end of Kumbhakarna. Then Rama shoots Ravana with an arrow from the gods. And that was the end of the evil Ravana. And so Sita was freed, and 14 years had gone by. So Sita and Rama and Lakshmana returned to their kingdom. And as people saw them coming close, the people were so happy. They took the diyas and lit them and lined the road so that Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana could see where to come back to their home. And they did, and the people were so happy. And then Bharata came to his brother and said, "The 14 years have passed, and now you must be rightfully king." And he gave his brother the king's magic sandals. And Rama became king and judged that kingdom well for the rest of his life. And that is the story of Rama and Sita. I hope that you have a wonderful Diwali celebration with your family. I love the holiday and have enjoyed the experiences I've had. One more thing I will tell you. One of the ways I learned that story was I went to a beautiful play last year in Jersey City. It was a play with music and dancing and beautiful costumes. And the players acted out the story of Rama and Sita. I was so fortunate to be able to do that. All right, I look forward to seeing you next week, and we will talk about Thanksgiving.